The other week, I watched this movie called Brad's Status. If you haven't heard about that one, it's the 25th or 26th movie that Ben Stiller has made about a character going through a midlife crisis and asking himself, where did it all go wrong? And other stupid cliche things like that. At this point, I'd gotten accustomed to Stiller playing whiny and shallow, self-loathing narcissists. Really, that's all he's played since he decided to stop doing broad comedies. But this particular character, Brad, stood out to me. See, the guy was a complete monster, and the movie seemed completely unaware of it. When he's not whining about his first world problems like other Ben Stiller characters, he's hoping for his in-laws to croak and leave him all their money. He's being resentful of his own son for succeeding in life. And he's just seen himself as better than everyone, including his loving wife Pam from The Office. The movie was filled with internal monologues that kept reminding me of Travis Bickle. It got to the point where I thought that the only sensible way for this movie to end was for Brad to finally snap and go on a murder spree. But no, he just learned some things about life, I guess, and keeps being sad. Sorry, you don't get to set up such a repulsive character and expect me to root for him on his journey of self-discovery. Not going to happen. Anyway, that's a bad midlife crisis movie. Let's talk about a good one that's masquerading as a wacky horror comedy. Mom and Dad. Easily one of the best midlife crisis movies since American Beauty. Wait, am I allowed to like that one still? Oh, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that. Selma Blair and Nicolas Cage play a middle-class couple stuck raising a pair of bratty kids. When an unknown force causes parents around the area to try and murder their own children, the kids must find a way to escape home before Mom and Dad straight up murder them in horrific ways. This is one of those movies that belongs to a super specific subgenre that I love. Dark movies about suburbia. You know those movies that take the bright, happy image of suburban America and reveal its decaying, maggot-infested underbelly? Whether it does this as a thriller like Blue Velvet or as a dark comedy like Parents or The Burbs. I haven't seen Suburbicon yet, but I hear it's amazing. It was neat to see the subconscious violent primal instincts that I suspect lurk deep down in many dysfunctional families come out. And while Mom and Dad isn't exactly deep social commentary, it's smarter and more relevant than it needed to be as essentially a wacky cult movie. I liked this movie a lot. It has problems, but it's got energy and wit to it, and the performances are all around aces. It's been a long time, but Cage is having fun in a movie again, delivering a gonzo out-the-wall performance that'll add a lot of highlights to the Nicolas Cage losing his excrement reel, including an already much-talked-about scene in which he destroys a pool table with a sledgehammer while singing an expletive-laden version of the Hokey Pokey. Is it self-parody at this point? Maybe. But it works for the type of tongue-in-cheek B-movie that it is. It's fun, that's what's important. Blair played it more straight, and I actually liked her even more. There was more to her character, whereas Cage was mostly just channeling Jack Nicholson in The Shining the whole time. She actually changed over the course of the movie from loving but exasperated mother to violent maniac. You felt there was some humanity lost when she goes crazy, not so much with Cage, who seemed like he would have probably killed his kids regardless of whether some force messed with his brain. The movie was directed by Brian Taylor, the mastermind behind one of the greatest movies of all time. He does great work here using his frantic editing style and camera movement to create a movie with a lot of non-stop energy and momentum. It never lets up. It's non-stop madness for its 80-minute runtime. Is it as nuts as Crank? Nah, but it's the type of movie you can put on with your friends to laugh at the funny parts and cringe at the violence. I so wish it got a theatrical release, though. It's a midnight movie and proud of it, and definitely the kind of film that'd be fun to watch with a crowd of weirdos in the early AM hours of the night, instead of in my basement at 10 a.m. Like any movie of this type, you're gonna have some dumb stuff. Like there's this scene in which the kids are trapped in the basement, and they enter a crawl space and come out the attic. That was just sloppy. I won't spoil it, but a character exits the film and comes back in an incredibly unconvincing way. My eyes rolled harder than they have since I watched A Ghost Story. I think that the movie is too short as well. It's barely 80 minutes and it's hard not to feel a little ripped off. Going back to the midlife crisis thing though, following the now infamous pool table smashing scene, the movie slows down for the first time and has a scene in which Cage and Blair have an emotional conversation about getting old and how having kids cause them to lose their individual identity. It it worked. Like, that one scene in the silly video-on-demand Nicolas Cage movie was smarter and more affecting than all of the hollow, self-indulgent ramblings of Brad status. If Ben Stiller wants to keep making these midlife crisis movies, he just needs to include more child murder. Overall, I liked Mom and Dad quite a bit. It's just a whole lot of twisted fun and possibly the best thing Nicolas Cage has done in a decade. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10.